The ideal scenario is Chase Burns does what he does, pitches like he has. Rhett Lauder becomes a real guy in your rotation, and then you can move a Singer or move a Lodolo. There was one good thing and one bad thing, and one very, very bad thing and one very, very good thing that came out of that series over the weekend. The very, very good thing, well, Hunter Greene looked like Hunter Greene. The very, very bad thing, Nick Lodolo looked like Nick Lodolo. Has another blister, going on the injured list, dealing with another blister. It's the same thing. Might as well just save any blister, anything we have, Gabe, because we're going to need it in like a month or two whenever Nick Lodolo gets back. It's just been such a storyline. And so what's the bigger deal? Hunter Greene's stellar start against the Cubs and handling business on Friday night, or Nick Lodolo being out for an unforeseen amount of time here as we go into the second half of the season?
Yeah, in my opinion, this one's not particularly close, and it's Nick Lodolo. I think it's Nick Lodolo's blister by a pretty wide margin, and I don't know that there's an injury to another player on this Reds roster that could have been more significant than an injury to Nick Lodolo. And obviously part of that is what he is in this rotation, and the rotation being the strength for this Reds team. And Hunter Greene pitches great on Friday. You think if Lodolo can get to form and Burns continues this after the break, then this rotation is going to be great and could be a catalyst to this Reds team turning it around in the second half. But the other bigger part of this is Nick Lodolo is the Reds' biggest trade piece. Nick Lodolo is someone who's been talked about as a potential deadline move for multiple years now. And this year, going into the last year of arbitration for him, it seemed like a no-brainer for the Reds to move on from Nick Lodolo. There's a real short list of sellers in Major League Baseball this year, and the Reds are poised to be one of them, with one of the most desirable starting pitchers on the market in Nick Lodolo. And now we have a third blister of the season. He's now out till presumably into August, or at least close to it. And that trade deadline's August 3rd. So the Reds probably can't even field calls for him right now, much less it's really hard to work through any kind of trade package for the former ace to try to move him for significant value at a trade deadline with 1 year of team control left. So the player, it obviously impacts the Reds to lose the starting pitcher, but on a much bigger scale, it has to rework everything that they planned to do or didn't plan to do at the trade deadline, now losing your biggest piece in one of those arms in the rotation. Yeah,
perfectly well said. I'm right there with you. I think the Nick Lodolo injury is a more significant impact on this team. I think you knew what you're going to be getting out of Hunter Greene, even though he had that rocky start on 4th of July, regained form, looked like the Hunter Greene ace as of old. And that's kind of what we were all expecting once he did return. So it is a big deal. It's great to have Hunter back in the rotation, but losing Nick, and even if, let's say, Lodolo wasn't going to be traded and he was going to stay on this Reds roster and a part of this rotation, well, losing him has other impacts amongst the rotation, because now Rhett Lauder, who was in the bullpen, he's moved back into the rotation. You called Chase Petty up from AAA, so there's just such a trickle-down effect. So it stems more than just really his spot in the rotation. It's impacting the bullpen now as well.
It is, for sure. If Hunter Greene had given up 10 runs in 4 innings on Friday, would you guys still feel that way?
Yeah.
Interesting, because I wouldn't. And that's why I think, like Nick Lodolo, what are you getting for him?
I think it's a pretty significant package.
No chance, because of the blisters. Like, he would have had, 4 or 5 good starts? Yeah, that's right. 4 or 5 good starts. That's it. In unreliability because of the blisters, he's under control through next year. But, when you envision the Reds being good again, and they're not good right now, they suck. But when they're good again, Hunter Greene's going to be a part of the team. Would it be ideal to get something for Nick Lodolo? For sure. I think going into the year, that was kind of the ideal scenario. Is Chase Burns does what he does, pitches like he has. Rhett Lauder becomes a real guy in your rotation, and then you can move a Singer or move a Lodolo. But Hunter Greene's still got to be your ace. And so for him to do that against the Cubs in just his second start, I think that's a huge deal to get that. This season, in and of itself, and I think the case for the Lodolo part is because of the trade value. This season, in and of itself, really hard to just focus on that. But regardless, whenever the Reds are good again, you're certainly hoping Hunter Greene's leading the way. And maybe it's Hunter Chase, which is a great problem to have if that is it. But Hunter's going to be a huge part of it. I never really thought Lodolo was. And if he was, it's going to be because of something you get in a trade. I'm not sure he had a ton of trade value. Now, if he would have went out there and pitched 7 innings, no runs, and does that again, then maybe. But that wasn't the case. And so that's what's tough, is the juggle of what would it what would it have looked like over the next couple of starts before that August 3rd deadline for Lodolo? It's unfortunate because you're right. There's no chance. We're not going to see him before the deadline.
No. And I think before this injury, he was one of the 3 or 4 most desirable pitchers at the deadline in the entire league. I think you're talking about multiple top 20 prospects from an individual team for Nick Lodolo. And I think that just completely eliminates that from the Reds conversation, because now you're looking at maybe not even getting one if you're trading him on a complete gamble for someone having to come back from a blister here. I think the only way to really shift this answer for me from Lodolo to Hunter Greene's gem on Friday night is if the Reds weren't 9 games below 500, but if they were 4 games below 500 or 5 games below 500. If this Reds team was within striking distance of the wild card or somehow within striking distance of the National League Central, I'm certainly saying Hunter Greene looking like Hunter Greene is bigger news. He looked not just like a bad Hunter Greene start on the 4th. It was one of the worst starts of the entire year for any starting pitcher on this Reds team, a rotation that struggled for months at a time. To come back on Friday night and have maybe his best start in a Reds uniform, or certainly one of them, was huge for this team. Not just the confidence in a guy who's going to be your ace for the stretch of this season, but a guy who you've put an extension behind, a guy who is the face of this Reds organization. I mean, he wasn't pitching the first 3 months of this year, but he was the one on all the ads for the New City Connect jerseys. His face was plastered all around Great American Ballpark. So it's great to have him back on the mound and looking like Hunter Greene. I wish the Reds were in a position where it could mean a little bit more. I think it's one of the most exciting starts of the entire season if that pushes the Reds to, inside a handful back of the wild card going into the All-Star break. But it's just not a position the Reds were in right now. But it doesn't take anything away from the way he looked on Friday night. It changes a lot about this Reds team if Hunter Greene's Hunter Greene for the second half of the season.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And that's it. That's the point. When you have a dominant ace like that and he goes out there and he shows it and he can be back, if there's any path to them getting into any kind of mix over the final 67 games, Marisa, it involves Hunter Greene being dominant like he was Friday.
Oh, absolutely. To have him and Chase Burns 1-2 at the top of the rotation, then you add in an Andrew Abbott, like we've been talking about, this pitching staff and rotation has the potential to be one of the best in the majors, and it starts with Hunter Greene and him setting the tone as that true ace of this staff. So yeah, it's absolutely monumental and huge if the Reds are going to go on any type of run in the second half to get back in the playoff conversation and the wild card chase. It's going to start with Hunter and just how he really sets the tone and addresses just the pitching rotation and the staff and just being that guy basically at the end of the day.
On Friday, after his stellar start, Hunter talked about a lot. He did a joint news conference with Ellie De La Cruz, and Ellie was just kind of hanging out, and it was kind of funny to see. But here's what Hunter had to say after his stellar start against the Cubs.
I was saying within myself. I think that was my focus in between starts. Like I mentioned in my first game, the excitement got to me. Didn't do a good job of staying within myself, and when I'm at my best, I stay within my body and I just let the ball do its thing. So I stayed true to that. I was intentional in my work in between, and I was able to execute it today.
This start tonight, I heard Cowboy mention that it may be the best he's seen. Did you feel that way tonight as you're throwing?
I feel like I've had better games than that, but that's nice that he said that. But I've definitely felt like I've been sharper before. I've had more Ks, but it was a very efficient game today.
Especially in the first 5 innings, you had first pitch strikes all but 2 batters. How important was that to set up everything you wanted to do?
Yeah, the foundation is obviously throwing strikes and then being able to expand off of that. When I'm able to execute that, and I think any pitcher's able to execute it, it tends to lead to success.
You said you had a better job of controlling your emotions. How do you go about controlling your emotions?
I have enough experience to do it. It's just being able to execute it, right? We, as pitchers, even cues that we have, we all know our cues. It's just whether or not we execute it consistently, and that's not always promised. So it's hard, man, because there's so many factors that lead to a good game. There's obviously defense behind me that's got to do their job. Guys got to hit behind me to have the outcome and have the win. So there's a lot of things that are still out of my control, but I think being able to just stay within myself is always key.
Ellie, how important was it for you to provide some offense? It was scoreless when you hit the home run to support Hunter's up?
Yeah, it was so important. He was doing a great job. Imanaga was leading tonight. He was doing a great job. So it's so important to get a hit. That was also the first one against him. he got me all the time. I got him this time. So it's so important.
How have you been feeling at the plate since you've been back from the IL?
Great. I feel comfortable on both sides of the plate. I'm feeling great.
Hunter, after that first outing on Saturday, because you said you were a little too hooked up, was it just one of those after a couple of days, like just put it behind you and focus on this one?
Yeah, it got to. I mean, you have to have a short-term memory in this game, whether you're a pitcher or a position player. And I feel like as soon as you're able to turn the page, you can get your first steps into success going into your next start. That doesn't mean forgetting or being negligent about what you didn't do right in the prior game, but it's not going down a rabbit hole at the same time. It's a balance of that, still recognizing the mistakes that I made in the prior game and trying to fix that going into the next, but not spiraling and overthinking things. If that makes sense.
Hunter, to find this form right up against the All-Star break, what do you do? Do you have a plan for just keeping this momentum going and bridging it through the break?
Yeah. So I'll, for sure. I'll be on the West Coast, but I'll be working out at UCLA, so that's my spot when I go back home. John Savage is a great pitching coach, so sometimes I'll see him and we'll talk shop about pitching and obviously great facilities and stuff. So I'll get my work in there, continue to throw. I'll have a bullpen at some point. I know I'm pitching the getaway day in Denver. So I got a little bit of time, but obviously I got to stay fresh and locked in. So I'll continue throwing, working out, and I'll get a bullpen in at some point.
Hunter Greene going to get a bullpen in at some point, regardless. If there's one reason to watch, a big reason to watch in the second half, pay attention in the second half, it's going to be Hunter Greene every fifth day.
Yeah, we got 3 out of 5 now to have some fun. You got Hunter and Burns and Abbott, and you can have a little bit of faith in this team to win some baseball games.
Man, just sold all the Rhett Lauder stock. At some point this week, we will talk about that Rhett Lauder stock. Look at you.
You were overly confident in Rhett Lauder starting a baseball game?
Look at you just selling all that stock. It's okay. I'll take it over here. I'll buy low on that.
My Rhett Lauder stock is not for sale.
No, you already sold it. It's over. I already bought it. I already acquired it.
You can't just buy.
I just did. It's just over. Did you see it? I saw it.